There are hidden photographic gems all around us, and that's why it's very rare that I come home with an empty memory card. And yet it can still be quite difficult sometimes to see those subjects. Good to be back out in the woodland, walking around, taking all the smells and everything in after spending so much time recently on the coast. But although coming back to the woodland has been really good for me today, it's also quite difficult to actually get back into the swing of things and see what's around me. And I don't know if that's because I've not been here for a while, or if it's a general thing, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I find that it's quite difficult to separate the journey from the end goal and actually just enjoy being outside and walking around. Sometimes if I've got a walk that I'm doing and I kind of know where I'm going to end up, I kind of neglect what's right around me. And I'm working hard to be a bit more like Ruby, sniffing around in the background behind me and enjoy taking all the details in. This photograph is a really good example of that, because if I'd just been focused on the end goal and nothing else, then I probably wouldn't have found this picture, and it was by chance that I stumbled across it. And it's just some fallen leaves on top of a dark, wet sort of felled tree stump. The composition that you've got on the video up on the screen doesn't really work for me. There's too much space to the left and to the right of it, so I'm just sort of playing around with the different aspect ratios and how they look on the screen. And for me, I'm probably gonna crop it into a square in processing, so that we've actually got a diagonal between the leaf in the center and the two pieces of moss either side. I think I'll take this photograph. Got my cable release on and everything, and although I avoid focus stacking where I can, I think this leaf needs to be sharp front to back. When I came out this morning, I had a definite end in mind, a goal to achieve. Now, this is a term that I come across quite a lot in my other world of manufacturing and logistics and corporate things and business, where quite often things are all about meeting an end goal and an objective. But that's where there's some conflict between the two parts of my life, because whatever happened to being present in the moment and soaking up all the details and all the things around us, because that's what's so important to photography. We were promised a 40% chance of rain around 9 o'clock. As it started to spit with rain, so I put the waterproof on, covered the bags and the camera up just in case it does come in and get worse. And it's okay because I've stopped, so I'm going to get the image set up and get the camera set up in case this rain comes in, and then I can show you exactly why I've stopped to take this subject. This subject was all about simplicity, really. It's just a grouping of leaves on top of a dark mossy rock with some water flowing past it, and the water is nice and dark. But that's why I stopped here. I mean, I was attracted by the sound of water and just coming down to the water's edge, and Ruby loves water as well, and she kind of dragged me down this way in many ways. But I am kind of a sucker for water. Although I didn't want to photograph it when I first come out today, it's what attracted me, it's what drew me to this point. And I think that's important in your photography. You know, even if you have got an end of mind and somewhere you want to go and the type of images that you want to take, it's important to go, you know what, this has caught my eye. This moment here right now is what is attracting me to produce this image. And this rock and these leaves just stood out for me. I've set the camera up at a much higher elevation than when I'd originally thought about composing the image. And the reason for that is because as I started to look at the details more, I realised that I wanted to take the bank out on the other side of the image. I'm going for a 16:9 crop, and it may even become narrower than that in the final image when I edit it, because I do want that long thin strip of the image with that water moving across. And I think that sort of longer image is going to enhance the shape and the flow and the movement of the water and give it that length which you're going to lead your eye from left to right across the frame. So I think that's going to work really quite nicely. The other thing is that I've been playing about with the shutter speeds a lot. I've had to put some filters on the front of the camera because I'm shooting at about 4 seconds at the moment, f11, ISO 200. The final image might vary differently because you can probably tell the light is up and down quite a bit at the moment. But the reason I've been playing about with the shutter speed is I've got to get the sweet spot, so I've just got that movement in the water. So stopping and tuning into your surroundings and having a good look around and just slowing down and really asking yourself the question of what is it in the landscape or in this location that makes me want to take a photograph can yield some really fantastic results. Despite giving you all this fantastic advice on how it works, if you slow down and you walk and you observe what you're looking at, it still doesn't come easy. It's not a natural thing. And I've certainly struggled a little bit today. What I've found when I've been walking about is that I've missed subjects and I haven't necessarily engaged and seen things. So sometimes you've got to go even slower. The last picture that I took enabled me to stop for quite a long period of time, and like I said, it started to rain a little bit. It seems to have stopped now, and I took the opportunity to have something to eat, something to drink, have a nice cup of coffee. And I find sometimes when I actually stop, I start to see things that I wouldn't have had I been walking, and that's exactly what's happened here. I've been struggling to get you guys in the frame with the camera and everything all at the same time, but I've managed to get both tripods and me in the same spot. I wanted to sit down and just look at this subject for a little bit of time and just analyse it and think about what it is I was going to do, because not only is sitting still and just looking and observing a good way of finding out and seeing and seeking out new subjects, it's also a very good way of simplifying and really looking into the scene and understanding what it is that you want to capture. When I initially looked at this, I'd seen these fungi a bit from a distance. It was the colour that stood out against the greens and the browns and the dead bark in the tree which they're growing on. But there's a problem with them, and it's getting more and more apparent the brighter this sunlight gets. But I've already taken some photographs, so we're okay. And that's that they're really quite contrasty and reflecting back a lot of light, which is making exposure difficult. Luckily for me, it's the smaller grouping of fungi that I prefer best, the group that is shielded from the sun a little bit and are sat on their own. It's not the mass of really larger, bigger ones that I'm looking at. So I think we've got this set up okay. So once again, this is a very simple photograph. Group of fungi, and like I said, I've gone for the smaller group with nothing more than a diagonal of fungi going bottom left, top right across the frame. There's some lighting coming down on the top. When I took my photograph, although it's really bright now, when I took my photograph it was a little bit more overcast, and that light's a little bit more subtle, allowing me to control some of those highlights a little bit easier. So I think it's going to work out okay. I'm probably going to put a dark vignette around the edge, and I'm going to let the darkness just bleed off into near black around the edges of the frame, just to give me that nice pop in the subject, so the colour of the fungi stand out. So this well may be the simplest photograph that I've taken today, and I don't know if it's because I've been practicing slowing down, looking around and taking simpler images or not, but if that's true, it does go to prove the old saying that practice makes perfect. It was easy for me to see this picture. I'd stopped, I'd taken the time to sit, look, listen, and I just saw it and it instantly appealed to me. It's very simple. There's just a fern leaf against some green ferns in the background, sorry. And for some reason this one has already turned brown, and you've got those lovely contrast of those woodland colours, those rustic browns and fresh greens just behind it. I've set it up on the tripod. As you'll see, the camera's a bit of a quirky angle. Once again, it seems to be a theme developing. I'm using a square format, but I just like the way that putting the camera on the angle gave a little bit more of a dynamic feeling to this stem of the fern coming up across the image. So let's have a look at this image up on the screen. If you want to watch more content like this, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, get out and enjoy your photography.